Akosua Serwa had always believed her life would end in a fairy tale wedding. Standing inside a glamorous hall in Accra, with golden kente draping the walls and soft high life floating in the air, she felt invincible. After all, today wasn't just her wedding, it was her grand revenge tour, carefully planned, well-timed, and sweet as ripened mango. She had invited every single one of her ex-boyfriends, all 7 of them, each representing a chapter of heartbreak she had sworn would never repeat. Kofi the liar, Ni the ghoster, Yao the manipulator, even gentle-looking Kojo who cheated with her cousin. They sat scattered across the hall, unaware that Akosua hadn't invited them out of kindness, but calculation. Her fiancé, Kwame Asare, a quiet school teacher with warm eyes, had tried to talk her out of it. "Let the past stay behind us," he pleaded. But Akosua only smiled sweetly. Some ghosts must watch you move on. As she glided down the aisle in her lace gown, she felt her ex's eyes burn into her back. A few whispered. One shifted angrily. Another smirked confidently, as though he still had a place in her future. But the real twist sat unnoticed. Akosua had left each ex a mysterious handwritten envelope on their seats to be opened after the vows. The contents would shake the hall before sunset. She wasn't here to embarrass herself. She was here to prove a point. And when the envelopes opened, her wedding would become the most scandalous story Accra had ever whispered about. The wedding continued with flawless elegance, yet tension buzzed under the chandeliers like trapped bees. Akosua kept her smile steady, even as her exes exchanged curious glances at the sealed envelopes resting on their laps. She could practically taste their confusion, and she loved it. During the exchange of vows, Akosua noticed Kofi squinting at her smugly, as if reminding her he once controlled her heart. Ya leaned back arrogantly, legs crossed, making sure everyone remembered his loud personality. Kojo avoided her gaze completely, his guilt hanging around him like humidity. Only Kwame, her soon-to-be husband, held her with a gaze full of sincerity. His hands were calm, steady, grounding her even in the middle of the storm she had invited. But he didn't know the full plan. Not yet. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, applause thundered across the hall. But the real spark ignited when the ushers announced, "Please open the envelopes given to you." The rustling of paper spread like a wave. Then confusion. Then shock. Inside each envelope was a short handwritten note. "Thank you for teaching me what I never want again. Please sign the guest book confirming all the things you did to me, truthfully. It's time Accra knows the real story." Gasps erupted. Several guests turned to stare at the exes. Kofi's face drained. Ya jumped up angrily. Kojo froze. Akosua stepped forward, raising a glass. "This wedding marks a new beginning," she said, "and I won't enter it carrying anyone's lies." The room erupted into chaos. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Kofi slammed the table, standing so quickly his chair toppled behind him. "What nonsense is this, Akosua?" he barked. "You want to disgrace us on your wedding day?" "Disgrace?" Akosua replied calmly. "I only asked for honesty." Ya pointed a shaking finger at her. "You think anyone will sign that foolish book? We're not stupid." Before she could answer, Kojo, the one she least expected to speak, stood up. His voice was quiet, trembling. "If she wants the truth, I will sign it. I did cheat, and she deserves to heal." The hall murmured in shock. Ya hissed, "You're weak." Kojo fired back, "And you're scared." The tension snapped. Guests whispered. Kwame stepped forward, concern lining his face. "Akosua, love, what exactly is this for?" She took his hand gently. Kwame, you know how hard my past was. These men carried stories that painted me as dramatic, difficult, even desperate. Today, I want them to admit what really happened, not for revenge, just closure. One of the bridesmaids whispered to another, "Hey, this is better than any Kuma Wood drama." But Akosua wasn't done. A waiter wheeled out the guest book, large, white, and impossible to ignore. On the cover, embossed in gold, were the words, "Truth will free us all." Kofi scoffed and strode toward the exit, but when he reached the door, he froze. A group of familiar women, 3 of his own exes, blocked the path. "We got the same envelopes," one said, "and we're ready to talk." The hall erupted again. The entire hall fell silent as the 3 women stepped forward, each wearing the expression of someone tired of being quiet. Kofi swallowed hard. Suddenly, his escape route had vanished. One of the women, Adwa, lifted her chin. "Kofi, you told all of us different stories. Today, we're here to confirm the truth, just like Akosia asked you to." Ya burst into laughter, clapping mockingly. "This is rich, drama everywhere." But the smirk faded when another usher approached him with an envelope, one he hadn't opened. "Sir, this dropped from your chair earlier." Ya frowned, tearing it open reluctantly. Inside was a single sentence, "Tell the truth, or we will." Sweat gathered on his forehead. He spun toward the crowd, scanning faces. That's when 2 men, both ex-friends he betrayed, stood and waved politely. They too had received letters. Ya sat down slowly, chest rising with panic. Meanwhile, Kojo approached the guest book first. He picked up the pen, signed quietly, and wrote a short paragraph. When he finished, he stepped aside. "Akosia," he said softly, "I hope this helps." She nodded, appreciating the unexpected maturity. The room buzzed with shifting loyalties. Some guests murmured sympathy for Akosia. Others whispered about the boldness of exposing old flames on such a sacred day. Kwame finally spoke. "My wife seeks honesty, and if honesty is what she needs to walk into our marriage free, then I stand with her." His words settled over the hall like cool rain. One by one, eyes turned back to Kofi and Ya, the last 2 refusing to face the book. Their time was running out. Kofi's jaw tightened as Kojo's signature gleamed on the page like an accusation. He glanced at Adwa and the 2 other women, all watching him with the sharp gaze of people who finally had nothing to lose. "Fine," he snapped. "If everyone insists on turning a wedding into a confession room, then let's talk." He marched to the book and grabbed the pen. But instead of writing, he spun dramatically to face the guests. "Akosua wasn't perfect either," he shouted. "She had flaws. She—" "Write it," Akosua interrupted coolly, "not perform it." Laughter ripples across the hall. Kofi's face darkened, but he lowered his eyes and wrote something short and stiff before slamming the pen down. Next was Ya. He stayed seated, shaking his head. "I won't do it. I refuse." The crowd booed softly. Someone muttered, "Typical." But then, in an unexpected twist, Kwame walked toward him. The groom, the calm, gentle man, leaned down and spoke just loud enough for the nearest rows to hear. "Ya, I know your type. You act loud to hide the truth. But you see this day? It's not yours, it's hers. And if you hurt her again, even with silence, you disrespect me too." Gasps filled the hall. Ya stared at him stunned. Then slowly, painfully, he rose. Without a word, he approached the book and signed. But as he turned to walk away, he whispered, "This isn't over." Akosua smiled politely. "Oh, it's over. Completely." Or so she thought, until someone unexpected entered the hall.